do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad. Oh no, I thought we could to see forever, but forever's gone away. But forever's gone away. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And I'll take with me the memories to be my sunshine after the rain.
I had time to reflect, I had time to repent, I had time to dissect all of the things that I said. They try and PR trim me, I guess this is where we at. Nigga, ball forever, we not taking nothing
And
back.
I'll take to be my sunshine after the rain.
CSN, QRC, same fucking thing. Let go. You ain't fly to me, girl.
Damn,
One nighter, you ain't flying to me. Hop on the scene, I ball like Kareem. I did the same damn thing, I still ain't getting no ring. Now look at me, now I'm a prodigy. I don't need no apology, that shit bother me. Girl, you lie to me, they don't apply to me. Like Bonnie and Clyde to me. Nah, I'm feeling some way, I don't live in the way. Tell her skate like K. Made it through the day while I get high, that's what I say. Ain't better saying my nigga do it. We keep moving wrong, we not just do it. Back down, man, my nigga fool you. Keep me a stand, my nigga gon' pull you. You ain't flying to me. Hop on the scene, I ball like Kareem. I did the same damn thing, I still ain't getting no ring. Now look at me, now I'm a prodigy. I don't need no apology, that shit bother me. Girl, you lie to me, that don't apply to me. Like Bonnie and Clyde to me.
Tokyo drift in the middle of the lot. If we riding better, send me a spot. I say that I will, but I really might not. We done with the bitch, so get rid of the thought. Bending it up, brick by brick. Don't agree, then suck my dick. I had to run down somebody. Light them up like a party. Way too fly, call me Marty. Bitch, I'm trim like I'm Cardi. I'll be this, that's my Charlie. Yeah, we getting body. No strings attached, ain't no violence. Me and Twin just wildin'. I know I be lying. Let's just keep it quiet. That's my little shawty, she keeping me up. Got beef with this beat, so I'm beating it up. The lies I be telling, they eating it up. Since it's Tuesday, dodging duck. I be steady crumpin'. She blow like a drum. They make me be dumb. for the deal. The doctor got some clientele. That big ol' booty, what the hell?
If she gon' let me hit that, cause you know I'm tryna get that.
Hit that bitch up from the back. Making that motherfucker clap.
In the back of the fence again. Turn all black just like that. I walk in the front, shoot that. And all my beats, they stay black. Skinny jeans all up inside that club. That nigga know it's up. Oh, that boy, he better not try to ride. Broke he that semi-top. Baby, I'll dress notice that Cassie twin. Baby, I'll dress notice that Cassie twin. KDN, TRE, we step on shit free. Freaking shit like Bruce, just like I'm Bruce Lee. Cassie twin. They walking in for shit, they like Cassie twin. We walking in for shit, way it get round. Ain't worried about that boy a clown. I rap on these beats, you like my sound. Okay, I whip up my dick, let's shot it around. I'm feeling the vibe when I walk in the house. Walk in the store and grab them jeans, don't care the bad to pay that cost. I'm a young fly nigga, I'm pulling that trigger. Don't care if you big, get slide like Tigger. I ain't pointing no finger, cause I'm not a singer. If a nigga run up, then I'm using my lingo. You hear my ringer, it's not like a printer. Got shit on your body just like it's a shingle. I was seeing shit on pen. They ain't do me shit, but shit I can. I was feeling just like Superman. Hey, Burberry on my scent. Shit like the smell, I feel my pen. I ain't get that bitch up on that fit. She wiping her nose and that's how I go. That shit not funny, and I touch your toes. I was by myself, yeah, all alone. I'm getting fly, they said I flown. She had to tell me it's alright. I was glued up to my seat, nobody heard me, yeah, alright. Plenty times that I cried, yeah, they don't hear me. Empty room, do you hear me? Hey, ball, standing tall. Pray to God I don't fall. Feeling throw up on my songs. Know you hearing all my sounds. And you steady acting like you not here, you out of bounds. Yeah, she out of bounds. Come on, tell me you hear me now. I know my place up in your heart, but this is start I can't count. But check me out, they gave me doubt. I can't wait until it's over. Told that girl I hit you up tomorrow when I'm sober. You ain't give me love, you gave me rage, bulldozer. Now I'm pushing all your love away like it's Kroger. I ain't never been in cuffs, but I'm locked up in my mind. Time after time, this not a crime, but I come and shine. Take the glasses off, this is not a sign, but I'm seeing blind. Puffing all that out up to the face, so I guess I'm fine. Shawty wanna pour a cup, I just wanna lift it up. And if fetters not a rush, I live it up, yeah, chest to eyes. Tell them boys I said what's up, they pulling up, ain't scared of nothing. Boy, I kick shit down up off that wall, I seen too many run. I don't drink or pour up at all, that shit don't have me fun. I think I'm on too many drugs, I can feel it in my lungs. You ain't got a lot of me, if you don't fuck with me, then why you come? I know that I play all day, but can't play me like I'm a punk. Stepping on these niggas' necks, I step so hard that I'm a crumb. I don't pay attention to these hoes, cause they all some crumbs. I can't wait until it's over, I'm riding rover. Tell that girl I hit you up tomorrow when I'm sober. You ain't give me love, you gave me rage, bulldozer. Now I'm pushing your love away like it's Kroger.
I don't even know why you dancing. I don't even know why you dancing. I don't even know why you dancing. I don't even know why you dancing.
beyond repair.
I ain't playing with no hoe. Niggas want some handouts, I ain't giving them no more. Always stand my ground, bitch, I stay on 10 toes. I be so cold, cause my wrist ain't froze. Dirty like I'm Dan, niggas at the Instagram, drawing lines in the sand. Bitch, I got the master plan, bitch, I'll never run from money. Talking racks, that shit ain't hood. I'll chew this beat up like some gummies. Man, and any nigga above me. Man down. Man down. Coming through with it. Heard your man's got in. 10 shots let in. Know we had his ass in. Baby, just put down that drink. I got infinite links. First you take them clothes off, and then we gon' fuck on the same. All these niggas be kept. All these niggas be lying. All these niggas get clipped. All these niggas be dying. Niggas be going outside. All these niggas is grind. All my niggas double tap. All my niggas is wine. Man down. Man down. Man down. Man down.
This song is a war crime. Coke, dope, crack, smack, weed, legalized nuclear bombs.
Tell that boy to watch his back before we snatch his spine. Bought a watch one day just for the fashion, can't even tell the time. Lace a blunt with perk, my overdose, can't even wine and dine. Pussy niggas hating on the net, they just whine and dine. 762 hit his ass up like a hot fry. Can't go out like thug, gotta hush, nigga not I. One in blues, but leave your ass red just like it's tie-dye. Wanna see a magic trick, he dead, nigga tie-dye. She want a young Charlotte nigga that can get fly. Draco bustin' everywhere, no gender, it just get by. Stirring out the pot, it's getting hot, it's smoke up in my eye. Shots up in the air, up in his car, my nigga join the ride. It's a swatch up on my wrist, don't call this shit a watch. Niggas not hard, they really sweet, just like some butterscotch. I don't wanna fuck, just put your head right there on my crotch. Wonder why I was slipping on that flow, nigga got on socks. This a dice game, nigga get up out my lane. Nigga touch my pendant on my neck, we aiming at his brain. Couple things I want up in this world, and that's to leave a stain. Sex, money, not the fame. Hard on cold, just let it rain. Nigga think he's safe, we aiming at his dome. I ain't talking baseball, but one hit to send him home. Shoot the clip, reload the clip, but one sound to get him gone. CSC and 3 shit, I don't see no fucking wrong.
Nah, for real.
T-Stacks Music.
Put on bag, I'm getting dressed, I'm trying to see just what the vibe. About to watch to look at clock, but I keep running out of time. They keep saying love is blind, but now I see the signs. Tryna see God, you have to skits out. Put some ice up on my neck and now I'm face out. I'm bleeding, I'm bleeding. All out, they teaming. Gotta sign a fucking paper, this shit death row. I ship it through, ship it out, ship it on the boat. Ain't no secret in this shit, keep it on the low. Shit like water, keep it cold, it's a new flow.
Shots till we run out of liquor. I'll take a S to McDonald's, meeting round the McDonald's. Tongue go down like Madonna, give me two left now on. Bleeding, I'm bleeding. Sala, they teaming. Leaving, oh I'm leaving. Fuck a bitch, I'm tryna fuck up a whole chick. Oh, why you still talking? Give me neck, give me neck, give me neck, give me neck. Fuck it, give me neck. Bleeding, oh I'm bleeding. Sala, they teaming.
Chopper in the back and ARP up in the front. Slap a nigga with the blick, I walk him down, knock off the front. Them 7-6 split his wig, he in that pole just like a monk. I crashed out into a nigga, now his face it got along. I'm James Harden with the stick, walk him down and then you don't. He thought it was up in that blunt, that K2, it got him crumb. These niggas sweet like Lucky Charms, I hit a chain, take off his charms. Glock extendo, got a switch, I take his face and take his arms. Cut his throat just like a farm, he diss on us, he gone by dawn. Play this shit just like a chess, what's a night into a pawn? Until it's not, nigga play then he get shot. Big ass Drake up on my body, nigga play then he get popped. And her box just like a Roddy, if I slip up I get caught. 5-5-60 no karate, hit him more just like I'm Pop. When you suck I like it sloppy, get it wet just like a mop. She only got one body, when we fuck it's like a law.
Mr. Go get busy, catch a op, I flip the whip. Try to run, we hawked them down, that little boy foot around and slip. I done fuck so many hoes, yo bitch probably next on the list. Mad as fuck cause you ain't even know she been let Vari hit. PYC official, yeah, PYC on top. Please don't diss on PYC, you go get dropped. I'm in love with Michael Drake, I'm sending shots, them bullets. All that shit that nigga saying is cast, so tell him stop. Yeah, take that nigga hoe, it's not my fault, I'm sorry for your loss. Say she never leaving cause she know she fucking with a boss. Say he bumping down with ARP, so tell him let it off. Got hit with that switch, he dead on scene, they couldn't find a pause, gang.
Absolutely have to.
Stand on 10 toes, we don't run and don't hide. If you keep on yapping, you gon' blow up my eye. Don't even ask me about that you, cause you know I'm gon' lie. Don't say you're gon' do something, you is not that guy. I'm a bad bitch, get a real cold ass nigga. Can't have no conversation with a grown ass nigga. He gon' run until the yeah, he a old ass nigga.
cause I'm rocking my wrist. Beating him in this shit while he beating up the remix. Riding I'm out of my mind. Sometimes I'm way ahead of my time. The pussy ass nigga, they say be crying. Man, stop talking and wasting my time. Whoa, whoa, I gotta slow it down. Hold up my new Balenciaga mask, now he make no sound. Wait, hold up, make the shot, make the play, good precise, we ain't playing nice. Got the crew on the movie rolling, I ain't talking about dice. Want me back, she want me beat it, and then I already did it thrice. Opposition talking how we have to put their ass on ice. Why they tryna beat me up when they don't even know how to fight? Ayy, I ain't go this far since 06. Put it to his head, take his shit, we got some new kicks. Like a hat trick, that shit disappeared like magic. They can't see it, they got a mask. Give up my home, so I had to go past me. All black on in the mask, we mask. He tryna run, we gon' go catch him, they can't rap me, the nigga da-da-da. I got new songs with Chris
nigga, 6'1", 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 nigga, nigga, 6'1", nigga, 6'1", nigga, 6'1", nigga, 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 nigga.
I be stroking on my bone, you niggas leave me alone. I got them up on my balls, you niggas pick up the phone. I said, whoa, niggas ain't rocking with who? Niggas ain't rocking with you. Fresh whip out of the booth. Nah, I gotta go take a niggas. I'm tired of you niggas. Nigga. Been in there for way too long, you know I'm finna hit it, niggas.
6'1", nigga, 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 6'1", nigga.
C'est servi.
Keep doing it because you love doing it. Come on, man. Come on, man. No, fine. Just tell me what you think about it. Bitch like a marathon, fucking marathon and talent style makeup, got that shit out the salon. Got so much drip to spare, I done started fashion con. Nigga Paul Johnson, the nigga Paul, they sucking on. Counting my song like filet mignon. Made $1,000 without a deal, that's the shit I'm on. That's the shit I'm on. Run it up, solid ass nigga, I don't talk like I am firm. Kick his ass to the curb. Yeah. Cause he likes to talk when I'm not around. Keep my white name out your mouth. Such a clown, you keep talking down. When I count it up, when I run it up. Count it up. Count it. My dollars. Count it. Did it for Instagram. Count it. trying to motherfucking test me. Flow so clean, I just hit a reset in the game, but they still try and press me. Jesus died on the Christ, God please bless me. But what the fuck is my girl so sexy? Like I'm king for all my boys, they deadly. I walk into the booth and the mic gets sweaty. I'm the opposite of Mr. Clean. I'm big, black, hairy, and black. Again, I apologize in advance for setting the trends. Niggas asking if I care. Well, it depends. Man, that shit, and I'm feeling like I'm busy. I got 4 divided by 2, man. That shit is way too easy. I got 2 cups, but I don't sip live. Take a dip in the water, nigga baptized. And I'm sorry for acting way too sublime. But she love my bars, I'm a favorite line. Yeah, I spit fire, need an ice pack. Supposed to be chillin', now I'm playing with a butt crack. My money do flip like a gymnast. I'm a star nigga, where the sky at? Okay, let me switch the flow. Right up on the check, no cardio. I whip too fast, need audio. Shorty got cake, like J-Lo. Change her name in his phone to sorry, bro. Nigga think this shit a game like Mario. Got my shit in time, y'all like a math whiz. Kinda knees bent like I'm taking a math quiz. I would care what you said if you didn't smell like shit. I've been lit since 6:30. Still pop up like some ad libs. They like slow down, I can't though. I'm so quick, need a Lambo. Ain't no game, but I'm Rambo. My clip's too long, need a cam show. What the hell, fuck that? Hey, they telling me stop, they saying don't go. What you know about it, nigga? Yeah, you don't. Hey, I'm staying with the mic like Ike MC, that's Mike, yo. And you gon' go down, but I came from the ground, hey. How you ask how I'm doing before you came? I was doing just great, hey. Backstreet, niggas stay bouncing on my meat. Gordon Corral, that's my tree. Her black toes, that's my feet. Stupendous flow, that's like me. What the hell, like Chloe? What the hell, like hell? What the hell, like Bailey? What the hell, like Barry? She wanna get married, but let me digress. I said the shit with my chest. Been 3 years too long, y'all seen none yet. Now I'm singing with my chest. Happens when you better than the rest. That's on my neck, that's on my kids, that's on my ribs. That's that shit, and y'all know we bout it. What the hell, what the hell, what the... Usually I'm go on for more than one verse, but lucky for y'all and lucky for me, there's always room for a first. I got all these, she got C's, and I got D's, she got C's. My music's too good, they took me off the site. Even though my dog and I like to bark, I usually don't bite unless you wanna fight. Now I'm riding to the night, I'm riding for the win. I don't need no one but my twin. I said, yo, I'm wishing you well. I'm not the devil, but I walk you to hell, hell. What the hell is Iris? What the hell is Iris? What the hell is Iris? What the hell is Rondé? What the hell?
6-1
nigga,
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 6-1
nigga, nigga,
6-1
nigga,
6-1
nigga,
6-1
nigga, 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 nigga.
Niggas. I'm tired of you niggas. Nigga. Been in there for way too long, you know I'm finna hit it, niggas.
C'est servi.
Everybody. Whoa. Got my dick in my hands while I'm writing this song. I tried to get ass cast to sing the chorus of the song. I got sit up on my butt, then I jerk on my dong. And what we gonna change, man? What we gonna change? For the jerk off instructions, jerk off instructions, jerk off instructions. Whoa, hold up. I got jerk off instructions, 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 and it's the J-O-Y. Please do not cry. First you gotta grab your lotion and start playing with yourself, playing with yourself. Jerk, jerk. Make sure you repent or you going right to hell. The J-O-Y, the J-O-Y, the J-O-Y, the J-O-Y. The J-O-I, jerk off, jerk off, jerk off, jerk off, jerk off, jerk off. Got my dick in my hands while I'm writing this song. I tried to get ass cast to sing the chorus of the song. Dick in my hand while I'm writing this song. I had to. I'm waiting.
Trying now, gotta start trying no motherfucker. You gotta stop playing with these motherfuckers, man. Turn the next song on, and it better be good.
Van got me here, they had to mad or I just been more. Tus ojos on me, got me no hola, no, yes, sir, por favor. Dime si sientes fuego que no nos dejas respirar. Corazón que te conmigo de sin ti no se continúa. City lights got you clara in my mind. Es un moment, it's the stuff in time. Viste mi amor, como si fuera verdad. Where yours, baby, cambiaste tu realidad. Can I call you por the no? Dice te quiero de Felix, no. 2 a.m. texting no la ven aquí. Te me vas, fantasma sin sí. Walking slow, she shining in my la luz. Thinking of a night when you were just us two. 2 drinks in, text me no la ven aquí. Then you ven, it's fantasma sin Lucy. Say see, next day now, love me high, tell me low, still out of love with me car, break proof, whiskey, vengo conmigo, deja tu miedo atrás, mi amor, tus ojos son mi camino, hola, no, y eso por favor, dime si sientes fuego que no nos deja respirar, corazón quédate conmigo que sin ti no se continúa, and the light, the rain hits the floor, like por favor, I need some more, so we can slow, clothes on the floor, touch to touch, but I ask for more, slow kiss, tell me if you wanna do this, cut long, sweet like mango, tastes like that I know, mango, like I thought I would, baby, I still te quiero, corazón, te quiero, even when you gone, you the pain and the song, but I hold on, city lights got you clara in my mind, es un moment, it's the stuff in time, viste mi amor, como si fuera verdad, where yours, baby, cambiaste tu realidad, can I call you por the no, dice te quiero de Felix, no, 2 a.m. texting no la ven aquí, te me vas, fantasma sin sí, walking slow, she shining in my la luz, thinking of a night when you were just us two, 2 drinks in, text me no la ven aquí, then you ven, it's fantasma sin Lucy, say see, next day now, love me high, tell me low, still out of love with me car, break proof, whiskey, vengo
say one thing and the line. The rain hits the floor. Like what if I would I need some more? So weeds and slow, clothes on the floor. Touch to touch, but I ask for more. Slow kiss. Tell me if you wanna do this because oh, sweet like bingo. Tastes like beta no. Oh, come in, oh, like I thought I would. Oh, baby, boy,
I still te quiero, corazón, te quiero, even when you gone. You the pain and the song, but I hold on, I hold on. Corazón, te quiero, even when you gone. You the pain and the song, but I hold on, I hold on.
look at you, 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 look at you.
Through the night, coming through the night, coming through the night. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. I've been living on it, thinking about it for its eternity. Everything that they sworn on me, everything that they scorn on me, the thing that they put on me, just not a concern on me. Cause really that's clear. Pressure prepared. I've been thinking about it and dawn. I've been thinking about it and dawn. Niggas walking to the dawn. Now I'm on the way home. So we really fall. Is you really strong? Eat us in the dawn. Cause we want it all. And we want it all. Cause we want it all. And we want it all. I'm running on it all. On a dog. And we not a dog. They wanna live forever. We're running with forever. So if you will, fight against your will. Look at you, look at you. Hold up. Trying not to be the same thing. I've been flipping to my own name. Now we about to put in some pain. Hugs of pain. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. Live forever, die forever, if you will, if you will. Don't talk to me about love, I ain't felt that in a minute. Hard like a vault, you cannot put no one in it. I've been stabbed by the same as it asked for forgiveness. And no roses in my garden, the stones that was in me. Everybody say heal, everybody say trust. But where was all that energy when they left me in the dust? You can write it on a postcard, preach it in a verse. But tell me how I love when the love came first.
never ever.
All is full of love. 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 All is full of love.
You keep saying I'm full of it, maybe full of anger, full of pressure, full of stress. I don't feel holy, I don't feel worth, I don't feel choice, I just feel dirty. Talking about hellos like I have you, preaching bacon things like I'm madness.
Call it grace, I call it damage. If love lives in me, then show me where to grab it.
Oh no, 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 no.
All is full of love. 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 All is
taking nothing back.
To be my sunshine after the rain. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. To yesterday. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. To yesterday.
Just figured I'd send a quick check.
This is Paul Ferguson. Tragically, his brother Timothy passed away just prior to this live stream.
For those of you who aren't aware, my little brother has passed away, and it's a lot to deal with, but we're fine.
With such devastating news, viewers quickly showed him support during this terrible time. But unbeknownst to Paul's fans, this would be his last live stream ever. Because as it turns out, Paul himself was behind the death of his younger brother.
What's your emergency?
I woke up to take to go to work. Yeah, and my son's not breathing.
On the 6th of July 2022 at 6:37 p.m., police were called to assist with a medical emergency just outside of Grand Rapids in Michigan. The caller, Shonda Vander Ark, mother of Paul and Timothy, had told paramedics that Timothy wasn't breathing. Just 7 minutes after arriving on the scene, Timothy was pronounced dead. Officers had never seen anything like it. Timothy was malnourished, bruised, and hypothermic. There were bones protruding from his skin, and despite being 5'8", he weighed just 69 pounds. Most concerning was where they actually found Timothy. He was lying in a small closet that reeked of urine and feces. Inside was a blue tarp and an Amazon box, and just outside were a pair of ankle shackles. There were also multiple cameras around the room and an alarm on the door he was found in. Undoubtedly, something was incredibly wrong, but police hadn't even scratched the surface of just how horrible this case would turn out to be. So, to maybe shed a little light on what just happened here, Officer Sean Stefanich decides to talk to his seemingly grieving mother, Shonda.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Officer Stefanich. Right now we got some people coming over to talk to you, okay?
He's been wearing really loose clothes the last couple of weeks.
He's really skinny.
He's really skinny, and I didn't notice till this morning because he wouldn't, I asked him if he's okay, and he would not answer me. He's 15, he's been...
He has autism?
Yeah.
Like a high-functioning?
Yeah. I had no clue how bad it was. Oh my God. He did this back in... my husband's stroke was January 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So he did this back in, second week of January for almost 3 weeks. And then he ate out there last night. I can't remember what it was now. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
This is where police realized that Shonda's emotions might all be an act. And as they would uncover more evidence in the house and talk to her son Paul, these claims would slowly fall apart. So as the officer listens to her side of the story, he'll be looking for anything to latch onto that they can use against them later to determine the truth.
I get it. I had no idea. I would have taken him in or something.
Now, you said the last time you saw him was 5:30 this morning?
Yeah.
Did he say anything?
He had fallen out of bed.
At 5:30?
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't earlier?
I mean, it's possible. I thought it was 5:30, but I wasn't super awake. I heard a thump, and I came down, and he's kind of laying on his side, kind of like, what the heck? And I reached out. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Timothy was pronounced dead at 6:44 a.m. that morning, just an hour after Shonda claims she last talked to him. The reason the officer seems suspicious is because the first responders noticed that rigor mortis had already started setting in, tightening his facial muscles. This usually starts anywhere from 2 to 4 hours after death, not the barely 1 hour that Shonda is claiming here. But the real question is how Shonda never noticed just how skinny and emaciated Timothy really was. This sort of malnourishment doesn't just happen overnight, so the officer asks her to explain herself.
I asked him to eat last night because his face started looking a little thin. I'm like, okay, enough. And he wouldn't show. I'm like, let me see. Hold your shirt up. And he wouldn't hold his shirt up. He wouldn't do anything.
Did he get real skinny last time too?
Yes. The only reason I know is because my 7-year-old walked in on him accidentally when he was in the shower downstairs. And then my 7-year-old comes up and he's like, Mama, Timothy's really skinny. I was like, oh.
Was that this time or last time?
That was last time. And I told him he was either going to start eating multiple times a day or I was taking him to the hospital and he didn't want to go to the hospital. So he
ended up eating on his own.
Yes.
And then, so this last time, was it because your husband wasn't home?
Well, he hasn't been home since January 3rd. He actually mentioned he was hungry the day his dad and stepmom called to tell us they were divorced and moving to Florida last week.
Shonda is essentially saying that Timothy wasn't eating because of a, quote, hunger strike, campaigning against family problems. Back in January, Adam Vander Ark, Shonda's husband, had a stroke and had to move out due to issues accessing their home. Apparently, this caused Timothy to stop eating for 3 weeks, and he only started again after threats of being taken to the hospital. But for the last 2 weeks, he'd stopped eating again, allegedly this time due to his biological father divorcing his wife and moving away to Florida. Each of these events did indeed happen, but as it would turn out, they had nothing to do with Timothy's hunger at all.
I tried to check in the last few days and he just wouldn't let me anywhere near him. He didn't want a kiss, a hug, nothing.
What was the last time he ate, you think?
Last night, he ate. Oh my God, I should have made him eat. I feel like such a failure. You see there's food in the house. I should have done something. Can they really hide that from you like that?
It would turn out Timothy wasn't hiding anything from her, but police had to get to the bottom of what exactly she knew. So after this initial questioning phase ended, police handed over the case to detectives, who obtained a search warrant and began to collect evidence throughout the house. That's when they found leg shackles in a drawer, 4 webcams scattered strategically placed around a basement, zip ties in the bathroom, a half-empty bottle of Extreme Regret Carolina Reaper hot sauce, and locks on every single fridge, freezer, and pantry in the house. This painted a picture of a helpless boy forced to live inhumanely among his own dirt and filth, watched every second of the day, and brutally tortured until the very end. The next day, an autopsy was conducted on Timothy's body, finding even more strange and worrying things. He had extremely sunken eyes, slightly blue-tinted skin, and there were many signs of dehydration as well. His cause of death was determined to be dehydration and extreme emaciation due to starvation, with hypothermia playing a role too. With all of this information and evidence gathered, the police knew something foul had to be at play. They just weren't sure what. Starvation in a house filled with food, hypothermia in the middle of an American summer, alongside hot sauce and handcuffs. It had to all come together somehow. So the day after Timothy's death at 3:57 p.m., they bring in Paul, Shonda's 20-year-old son, for interrogation to try and uncover what all this could possibly mean and how exactly he was involved. What Paul doesn't know is that they've already collected a mountain of evidence. Detective Ryan Peask is going to use a 5-step program to slowly extract the truth from Paul, starting by getting on his good side and ending by tearing into him and making him feel so guilty he'll have no choice but to confess to everything.
I don't want to talk anything specific about the case just yet. Since the police showed up at your house, they brought you down here. I want to advise you some rights before we talk about that sort of thing. What I do want you to know, though, is that we went to your phones, okay? There's a lot of evidence in the phones, and I know that you're kind of aware of the communication between yourself and your mother. Yes. And those sort of things. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about. Yeah. But, I mean, certainly, those are very serious things that you guys are talking about.
As mentioned, police have spent the last 24 hours combing over text messages, camera recordings, crime scene images, and much more to try and get a good picture of what had happened. So, as the case is with many younger suspects, Detective Peask will start calmly, trying to put Paul at ease and get on his good side, before slowly breaking him down and exposing the truth.
I know that we talked yesterday, and I know that not everything that we talked about was the truth yesterday. That's okay. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel guilty about not telling the truth to me. I'm not trying to get to the truth of what really happened with your brother, because he deserves that. I mean, there's clearly a lot of messages about stuff that you guys are doing with him, about what he's eating, about restricting his food. How did that all work?
We stopped the food restrictions recently because we had noticed his end. We wanted to get that back on. We didn't want any of this. We never wanted him to be injured or hurt. I loved him so much.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can certainly tell that.
And we wanted what's best. Yeah. The thing is, he was stuck in the past.
So you stopped the food restriction. When did that kind of happen?
2 weeks, approximately. We were hoping that we could get enough where it would be safe, and then we could continue to add it back to where we wouldn't have to worry, and we could.
What were the restrictions?
We made sure that it was still something that gave him enough calories and everything. It was rice or bread, and like I said last week, he got pizza.
Throughout the thousands of texts detectives have between Paul and Shonda, there's a huge amount of talk about food restrictions. It doesn't take much to realize that this was why Timothy was thin as he was. Peask will focus more on this later. What's more interesting, though, is how Paul justified this.
We loved him. We wanted what's best. We made sure that it was still something that gave him enough calories and everything.
These aren't Paul's own thoughts. This is just what he's been told by his mother since the started. Over the course of several months, he's internalized it, and now seems to fully believe that what he's been doing to Timothy is for his own good.
What were they for, like, in the first place?
Sneaking food over and over and over. We've tried everything. We were nice. We tried different consequences, but I couldn't never listen.
What were some of the other types of consequences?
We did take away his devices. That was also because he wouldn't stay on his school sites and would just go and try and play games or watch YouTube. He should have been held back so much.
Yeah.
But he passed all of his final exams. And so I don't think it was my stepmother. My stepmother was amazing.
Yeah.
But I believe it was my father's too.
Okay.
But my dad's controllish, freaky nature was just, he didn't want her having any contact and screwing all of his control out.
Note how the only consequence that Paul mentions here is the fact that they take away his phone occasionally, something fairly innocuous. It's also worth mentioning just how quickly he tries to put Timothy and his father down in exactly the same way his mother was known to do. But as Paul continues talking, it becomes clear exactly how much of a problem this has actually become, and that he might have actually been strongly manipulated by her to do all of this.
There was a thing back in Oklahoma where I had problems with emotional release. I was so terrified of him that I didn't ever want to release any of the negative emotions I ever had around him. There were times where I wanted to say no, but I was so terrified that I just couldn't. Here, I can release my anger, and I do it in the right ways. I never do it in any way that I'm not supposed to. She had her tubes undone for Gabriel. He was a blessing to this world.
Yeah. You mocked him with that? Certainly. He's a blessing.
Of course. She loves him so much.
Before having her third son, Gabriel, Shonda had a procedure to restore her fertility. To her, having Gabriel was a miracle because she didn't know if this would work. That's likely why no evidence was ever found of her harming Gabriel, because he was by far and away her favorite child. That does, however, provide a harrowing reason for why she might have abused Timothy so much. He was her problem child, and she didn't like the fact he had so many mental health conditions, so she wanted to take her anger out on and deal with the problem directly.
You know, would there be any sort of consequence for your mom if you slipped up with her attitude like her? How would that work?
There were times when I would cop an attitude that was unnecessary, and she would have me get off devices for maybe 15 minutes, because usually that was what it was revolved around, because I'll be honest, I have an addiction to my devices.
Okay.
I never had not very much of that back in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
My dad was strict. He didn't even give me a phone. My sister and my stepsister had phones before I did.
So now you're in work, and then we talked yesterday about how you're paying bills.
Yeah, and I'm like, my father, she doesn't force me to give her half of my paycheck. He forced that on me. And I was working basically minimum wage at both.
Yeah, that's tough.
And the thing is that my mother can't even face my father right now. She doesn't want to call him, because the one thing that she and I both know is that he's going to hurl every ounce of blame that he can at her.
Listen to how he's talking about his father. He's only able to say negative things about him and brings these points up even while unprompted. He clearly has a strong dislike of his father and talks about him like a divorced partner. Take a guess where that stemmed from. It's clear his mother has been feeding him lies and negativity about his father, and there's no clearer example of this than what he says next.
I moved here into Michigan, I think, on the 30th.
Okay.
Because for the time after I had moved out of my parents' house, I stayed with my Uncle Dave now, and who both had actually been tricked by my father to also believe that my mother was bad.
Nobody was tricked. Shonda simply was a bad person. The police report contains countless witness testimonies from family friends and teachers who knew something was wrong and believed Shonda to be a bad parent. This wasn't an uncommon opinion. One of Timothy's teachers even told the cops that all the teachers knew he wasn't cared for at home and that he lived through hell most of his life. But to save face, Shonda would make up lies to tell Paul that made her seem perfect and kept his respect, at the cost of making his father seem downright evil. That's what makes this case so controversial. Paul was almost certainly not in control for the majority of this, and he was definitely manipulated by his mother to some extent, but he still went through with everything, and that's what a jury would end up focusing on.
I saw on your phone that you had sent a couple of pictures to your mom.
Yes.
Pretty skinny, and you said, hey, it's nothing but skin. But
yeah, I was very concerned. It just...
Yeah, what do you think that maybe would have been the time to take him to the doctor, or...
Yeah, honestly, that probably would have been one too. I don't know.
And then you sent a picture of like his legs that were just basically gone, right?
Yeah,
the ones you can't stand or something along the lines.
Yeah, but the thing is, yesterday and I think the day before, he could walk. He might need a little support every so often, like he put his hand against the wall or grab the rail of the stairs. But after a couple of seconds, he let go and be fine.
Okay.
It was never anything major.
When was like the last time he was really like talking to you, like able to have a conversation or at least try to have a conversation?
Last time he actually talked was 3 days ago, but the day before, or the day after that, the day before yesterday, he could talk. He talked a small amount in the morning, but then he just sort of was making groans and moans.
It must take an astonishing amount of delusion to believe that not being able to walk or speak isn't anything major. But in reality, that's not what they thought. They thought he was faking it entirely. In fact, on the day before Timothy died, Shonda told Paul to wave warm pizza rolls just in front of him and take them back if he tries to eat them. It all just seems as though they were messing with him to satisfy their own sadistic desires.
What's the photograph in the back of his face? Like zoomed in on his face?
He had been taking a bath. And I went in there to check on him at one point, and he was just kind of laying there. I'm like, bud, you okay? He didn't respond, but he was looking around, and he was breathing, I know that much.
Yeah, but he wasn't talking at that time.
No, and it started to concern me. I'm not sure if I texted Mama about it or not.
Why you sent a picture to her?
Yeah, I probably should have said something about the ER Taekwondo.
Well, I'm sure it's not stupid. You have to think about it like this. not all on you, right? You made it, from what I see, you made numerous attempts to say, we need to do something different about this.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing this thing.
I know she's a good person, but
Paul is beating himself up because he knows that he assisted in all of this. But notice how Pisk is still trying to reassure Paul and shift the blame away from him. Fortunately, this is about to pay off massively as he starts to talk more about the punishments that Timothy was put through.
I think you have to think about this. Right now is not a time about blaming people, but it's a time to try to figure out when could we have changed things, what could we have done differently, how did we get to the point where we were at? Because, clearly where you guys got to, you say you moved back. That wasn't a nice enjoyable bath though, right? That was a punishment bath, right? That's a cold, ice cold bath.
I didn't wash that. You did.
How many times would you estimate that you guys get cold baths as a punishment for not getting whatever, for whatever reason?
I think for punishments, I don't exactly know the number, but it wasn't a lot.
Are we talking like 5, 10, 20, every day, every other day? Like any idea? 5? Whose idea was it to give him a cold bath as a punishment?
It was my mother's. I wasn't sure if it would be a punishment effective or not.
Pisk actually knows exactly how often these baths occurred, because Paul and Shonda documented every single instance of this over text, and Timothy was subjected to them constantly. Even worse, they would last up to 9 hours at a time. And remember, Timothy weighed only 69 pounds. He barely had a drop of body fat on him, meaning that he would have felt the effects of the cold considerably more than the average person. This is why the autopsy turned up the evidence of hypothermia and ruled it as one of his main causes of death.
You remember the first time you guys did it? Why? Like, what did you do?
Not exactly.
What did you do on that day that you sent the photo that made you have to give him a cold bath?
I think it was that he not only peed, but also pooped. And my mother wasn't too happy because it absolutely reeked.
Yeah. When we talk about that, I understand you've been to the house and get through all the messages.
Yeah.
Where did you sleep most of the nights? In that closet?
As Pisk mentions, Timothy didn't sleep in a bed. He slept in a small, cramped closet that he couldn't even stand up in. And the punishment that Paul mentioned, well, that would have actually happened either way. Inside the basement where Timothy slept were multiple cameras and an alarm on the door. If he'd have gone to the bathroom instead, then he would have been punished for leaving his room. Timothy was completely trapped.
We always wanted what's best for him.
So you guys decided to move him into the closet. There's an alarm on the door. Is that so? What's that for?
When he would try and sneak, because if you notice, there was also one in the garage door. That was also because, there's some food in there that he would try and sneak. And it wasn't just that he was hungry at some point for those. It was that he wanted something sweet.
Again, Pisk is being extremely nice and agreeing directly with what is said, trying to make him feel like what he's saying is still fine, so he incriminates himself even further.
There's traditional food, we talked about bread. For how long was he just eating just bread?
A week or two.
What was he eating before that?
We do ramen, sandwiches, and I think at some points we actually give him like a meal.
Why was it that he couldn't have meals?
The whole freaking...
Paul has no idea what to say. He's starting to realize just how cruel everything he did was, and the gravity of the situation has just hit him. He starved his little brother to death, and he can't even think of a reason why. Regardless of the circumstances or how much influence his mother had over him, he still did all of these horrifying things. And there's still even more to come.
Tell me about the hot sauce. I know that was used as both a punishment and it was put on the bread. Was it always on the bread?
Not always, no. But the thing is, it still hardly did anything for him. There would be times where it would do something for me because I'd accidentally rub my eye after I'd be on there. It was, ow.
What dictates whether or not there's hot? What decides that?
Whenever my mother told me to put hot sauce on it, I did. From what I know, there's a California Reaper is like 2,000 Scoville, or 2 million Scoville.
What does that mean?
It's the hot sauce, or is that a heat index is that's pretty high. Very.
Elijah's extreme regret hot sauce is reviewed as not being something you mess around with. It measures out to 800,000 Scoville heat units, just shy of what a fresh ghost pepper would be. Paul and Shonda would routinely feed this to Timothy as a punishment, as well as putting it on the only real food he would get in a day. Pisk also made sure to ask Paul what Scoville units were to make sure he knew exactly how bad what he was doing was. He confirmed that this was very, very hot, to the point of being painful. Yet, he still went through with what he did for weeks.
So, how long have you guys been using hot sauce for?
Almost a month, maybe.
Okay. And was that only on bread, or was that on other stuff too?
I think one time we put it in some rice, but after that, I don't think we did that again.
What was the use for, right? Because you're giving bread as a deal. What's the purpose of the hot sauce?
I know it was punishment, but honestly, I don't think it was that useful because, like I said, he had no feeling in his tongue. He literally bit a hole in it at one point and didn't even feel it.
Was he eating this bread with hot sauce, or was he?
Yeah.
Is that really the only things he had to eat those days, or would he get other things to eat?
From the bread and rice, other than that, not that I know of.
Okay. Did you see a decline in you during that 4 weeks? Like losing even more weight, or being even less responsive, or what changed when you moved into doing that?
There would be times where it would take him a moment to respond. At first, I thought it was just him acting, but then I was getting concerned. I think a week or so, maybe ago.
Okay. His responses are delayed, is that?
Yeah.
So the hot sauce on bread. If you ever put hot sauce on bread, is it ever your own decision to put hot sauce on bread?
No.
Throughout this interrogation, Paul has been consistently using his mother as a scapegoat for everything he's done, that he was just following her orders. But at the same time, it's obvious that he knows his brother was suffering through all of this. Many people are familiar with the Stanford prison experiment. 24 male college students were split into either guards and prisoners, and for 2 weeks, they were supposed to simulate a prison. However, after just 6 days, the experiment had to be terminated due to extreme behavior. The guards quickly adapted to their position of power, and due to their role being enforced and validated by the event conductors, they began to abuse the prisoners to the point of emotional distress. That is to say, Paul was given the opportunity to be in control, and he took full advantage of it, abusing his position. At the same time, though, Paul is an adult, and at any point, he could have decided to stop or alert somebody about all of this, but he never did. Pisk is also starting to realize this, so from here on out, he's going to slowly put on the pressure that'll eventually break Paul and make him fully realize the gravity of what he's done.
So, I know that when we talked yesterday, in front of your mom, she was lying about some stuff, right? I know that she's a good person. I'm not doubting that at all.
Yeah, we never wanted any of this.
But you also know this, like I know, that some of the things that she was talking to us about were the truth, right? About, she said she didn't know there was a camera in the bathroom. But the fact of the matter, she asked you, and she sends you a text message that says, make sure that the camera's in there and take the shower curtain down so I can see him. Didn't she ask you that the day before he passed away?
Yeah.
I know this pepper's for punishment. And what did she say? She said, I didn't know anything about that. Why did
She doesn't want to appear like a bad person. She doesn't want to be the bad guy in this. We never wanted any of this. We want him to be healthy. I know that for a fact. I should have at least put my foot down on something.
But
it's not that I'm afraid of her. I can't fear her because she's not the type to instill fear. I don't know if that's also what caused him to sometimes lie about things as well. Was that he still has this fear of Dad, and then he thought she would be the same. She's nothing like him. That much I know.
But she knows that you shouldn't be using hot sauce as a punishment, right? She knows better than that.
The pressure is already starting to cause Paul to resort to cathartic statements for him. Notice how as soon as Pisk says she was lying, he praises her and makes excuses for her, and then immediately puts his dad down, saying that she's nothing like him. He's scared, and he's trying to throw himself back into a world where he feels safe and comfortable. But that's not the world he lives in, and Pisk is about to expose that once and for all.
So when you first talked to us, and you talked to the police, you said he was on his bunk bed, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the truth.
No.
Okay. He was in that closet that's right there by the the bunk bed? Yeah. You told us that you heard him snoring. Was that a lie? Yeah. And did you come up with that on your own, or did somebody ask you to say that he was in the bed?
I feel so guilty. Like, I could have done something at any point in this.
You think that your mother's saying to do what's best for him, right? That's what you've been talking to.
Yeah. And I know she wants what's best for all of us.
So, back to my question. Did somebody ask you to say that he was in the bunk bed?
I came up with that on my own.
Pisk notices him start to shut down under the pressure, so eases off just a little, trying to reassure him again that he's not in any trouble and that this isn't his fault. Pisk is almost there. He just needs to get a little more information out of him for the confession, and can't risk Paul shutting down now.
So tell me what really happened in the morning then, because obviously what was told to us wasn't the truth. What really happened?
I woke up and I had been grabbing my shoes. It basically all played out like we said. The whole morning thing was exact. He wasn't breathing in the closet. It was the closet though. We had to get him out of the closet to try and resuscitate.
When you guys pull him out of the closet, does he have clothes on at that point, or is he in a diaper, or what's that state?
He had a shirt. I think we had put him in pants, or sweatpants. I don't know, maybe some point in the night he took them off. I don't know about
When you say we, you weren't there though when we went to bed, right?
No.
So how would you know if we put him in sweatpants? Do you see what I'm
My,
saying?
yeah.
So do you know if he had pants on or not when we went to
No,
bed?
honestly. But he didn't have them when we got him out. He had the diaper on, at least.
So he has the diaper on. You're saying that he has his shirt on? What shirt did he have on?
The very same sweatshirt that we found him in. Because obviously we didn't want him to get cold. Or I don't think Mama wanted him to get cold.
Does he have pants on or no pants on?
None, no.
And when we get there, he has pants on?
Yeah, she had me put them on.
She asked you to put pants on? What
Yeah.
was that for?
Pisk is asking some very specific questions about when Timothy was found. What Paul doesn't know is that the cops have an audio recording from one of their cameras from the exact moment they found Timothy dead.
Is he okay?
It's cold.
Yeah, I know it's cold, but he's not sick, so is he okay? Sit up, please. I don't understand.
I don't either. She was calling. You're
Right, yeah. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on. You have your belt. You are here. Put it on. I just want to make it look like he's in that way. I have to go on it now.
Pisk knows for certain that both Paul and Shonda have been lying this whole time and tried to cover the death up. This is Pisk's chance to strike. He's now multiple steps ahead and has Paul on the back foot. He's now going to start tearing into Paul and his mother, ripping his worldview to shreds and exposing them for what they really are.
At that time, she decides that she's gonna lie to him and say that he was in the bunk bed? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Clearly,
She doesn't want to seem like she's bad. That we weren't neglecting him.
Well, what are you saying? I mean, if we talk, right, there's all these things where, like, she didn't want to seem like this. She didn't want to seem like this. She didn't want to seem like this. Did you know that it all seems like that, right?
Yes.
How do you feel about lying during this? How does that make you feel?
I just hate it. I know she doesn't want to be the bad guy. She never wanted this. We loved him so much.
I don't think it's about love at this point. I think it's about not knowing what to do, not knowing how to handle the situation.
We didn't know how to do anything.
Just look at how uncomfortable Paul is now. He can't sit still. He's covering his face and body as often as he can, and he's almost always hunched over. He's really starting to panic now, and Pisk has barely even started ripping into him.
Do you and your mom agree to tell her the same that he was in the bunk bed, or how does that happen? You couldn't have both just possibly made up the same story. No. So what happened? She told you, right? She told you what to say? Does it look bad for you guys?
It's not just that. We loved him.
Can I ask you this, like, straight up? You keep saying love, love. Do you feel like this was love? That he's dead because he couldn't eat food? Does that feel like love to you?
No.
He's dead because he couldn't eat. And I don't know anybody that thinks that's love. What I think's happening is your mom's convinced you that she's this perfect person, and she's asking you to do all these things that are literally killing your brother.
I know she's not perfect.
How is love ice baths? How is love handcuffing? And how is love restricting movement? And how is love hot sauce in the mouth and only eating bread? What if you only got to eat bread? How would you feel? What if you only got to eat bread with hot sauce? Would you eat? she's not perfect, but she's not a bad person. Do you know of any good people who a child to death? Tell me of one that you know. That's a child who has a lot of problems, right? That's not a child that's taking care of themselves. How is that a loving person? How is that a loving mother? You know what that sounds like to me? And honestly, the worst mother I've ever met in my entire life. That's what it sounds like to me. Well, maybe he's taking food because he wants to live. You ever thought about that? Yes. Maybe he's stealing food so that he can survive.
Paul has fully collapsed in on himself at this point. His worldview is starting to break into pieces. The person he looked up to, respected, and loved is now being painted as a monster that's going to prison for the rest of her life. The worst part? He hasn't even realized that he might be facing the exact same consequences.
She puts you right in the middle of this where it looks like some of the stuff's your idea. And it actually looks like in some of these things that you kind of enjoy it. That you kind of enjoy punishing him for doing the wrong things. Do you feel like you kind of enjoyed punishing him for that? No. Maybe not that he was in pain, but that you were in charge and you got to tell him, you can't do that. Go do this. This is your punishment. Did you like some of that? No. How come you guys are laughing and joking about it sometimes with smiley faces? There's no way that you can look at yourself and think, that's okay. Why couldn't it be a piece of chicken that's cooked? Why couldn't you eat that? Why does it have to be bread with hot sauce? I think that way more of it has to do with your mom than you.
This is actually the defense that Paul would use in court, and the trial would turn out to be even more interesting than the interrogation. He will try to claim that he wasn't the one in control at all. He was just following his mother's orders, doing what she was telling him. But unfortunately for him, there were messages like these, along with much more evidence yet to be discovered, that made it hard to believe that this was the truth.
I don't want to live a life where I regret the fact that I hid somehow something. I've told you everything I know.
How do you feel about living a life where you hid that your brother wasn't eating from society, that you hid that your brother was dying? How do you feel about that?
I hate myself, okay?
Ice bath, she gave him ice bath on the day that he died, right? Leading up to it. And she wanted him to sleep in the tub. That's what I read. Did that happen? Did he sleep in the tub?
No.
He didn't.
No.
He didn't. That bathtub, and you guys dragged him into that closet and waited for the morning to call the police. That's not what happened.
No.
Do you think that message is just a little bit suspicious? That she sent you at just about midnight that says, he's in the closet, I had to drag him in there. You don't think he was already dying or dead at that point? Doesn't it seem like maybe he was already dead? That she put him in there so that he could wake up and have died in his sleep? Because she can't call the police when he's in an ice bath and he freezes and he dies.
Whether this was true or not will remain a mystery for a while, but whatever the case, there was certainly a large attempted cover-up by both Shonda and Paul to try and make it seem like this was somehow, someway, natural causes. Timothy was treated like dirt until the very end, and Detective Pisk has had enough.
I can't even live with myself.
But how do you feel about over and over and over again defending your mother about how good she is? Do you feel like that's the truth anymore? Because I'm quite disgusted by her. I'm disgusted by her.
She never wanted this.
Then how smart is your mother?
She's incredibly intelligent. Very cum laude.
Right. Have you ever thought, how can a woman that's this smart, this intelligent, graduate from law school, how could she not know what's happening? How could she think this is fake? How does she not know she's him? How does she not see that he's wasting away? And you're telling me that you've got some mental health issues, but you graduated from high school, and it's very obvious to you that he's got malnutrition, right? It's very obvious to you. But your mom here's not seeing that, and she's a law school graduate, and she's very smart. Do you see what I'm looking at here? She's a liar. What did she think was going to happen?
I don't know.
Exactly what happened is what she thought was going to happen.
She never wanted him dead. She loved him.
That's love to you? Everything that we talked about is love? You're joking, right?
Even through the shouts of an enraged Detective Pisk, Paul still defends his mother to the very end, trying to come up with excuses for her and even take the blame. But that would all come to an end on trial. In the meantime, though, just 5 days after his interrogation, Paul decided to go live on Facebook to update his friends and family on everything that had happened. Given what we know now, the surviving video is probably one of the most eerie pieces of footage we've ever shown on this channel.
Hey everybody, just figured I'd send a quick check. We're doing good right now. I just dozed off on the couch unintentionally. For those those of you who aren't aware, my little brother has passed away, and it's a lot to deal with, but we're fine. But just keep supporting. I guess I don't quite have much I can say right now.
It would, of course, be his mother that faced the majority of the heat for Timothy's murder, so Paul decided that he would testify against his mother in an attempt to get a lighter sentence for himself. And during the course of this trial, we'd get even more information about other punishments and torture that Timothy was put through.
Were there any restrictions on his movement inside the closet, or was it he could move around however he wanted inside the closet?
There were restrictions.
What were the restrictions on his movement?
Hands on his head, normally.
Hands on his head, is that what you indicated?
Yes.
Is that some form of discipline for him?
Yes, on his knees and against a corner or wall.
When you say hands on head, I'm going to demonstrate just putting my hands just over my head like this. Is that what he was required to do?
Yes.
He was required to be on his knees as well?
Yes, sir.
Was he monitored to make sure that he was doing those things?
Yes, sir.
For how long would he have to do these things?
Several hours.
Timothy, starving with essentially zero muscle on his frame, was forced to sit in a dark closet with his hands on his head for hours at a time. Most people's arms would start to ache after just 5 minutes, but on top of watching him as he was like this, listen to how they made sure that he never slipped up.
Did you utilize some type of alarm or alarms on his body to alert you if he was moving?
A vibration detector, yes.
Was there more than one that he was required to wear at times?
At times, yes.
Where were those devices located on his body?
They were normally tied to the back loop of his belt.
Was there something placed on his wrist as well at any point?
Handcuffs, and before that, zip ties, zip cuffs.
And those were designed to restrict what?
Movement.
Of course, if he was to move or set those alarms off, he'd be punished again, likely with hot sauce or another ice bath. Trials like this always give a horrifying amount of insight into cases like this. As Paul was made to testify against his mother, he consistently spilled more and more details about exactly how he and his mother ended up killing Timothy, such as some of the ways they made sure he was never able to eat.
There's some text messages. Do you recall a text message you exchanged with your mother in, I believe it's around April or so, where you've alerted her to the fact that he's eaten some part of a burger?
Yes.
What was it? What part of the burger is it that he ate?
Just the crust.
What was your mother's response when you told her that he had eaten the crust of that burger?
Make him throw it up.
Did you try to do that?
I tried at first, yes.
How did you try to do that?
Putting a finger into his mouth as instructed to the back of his throat to induce vomiting.
So who gave you the instruction to put your finger in the back of his throat?
Shonda.
Was there ever any other time where she instructed you to make Timothy throw up?
Yes. At one point she had me heat up a pizza roll to see if he would be responsive to enticement.
Did you actually do that?
Yes. I held it close, and when he responded, as per instruction, I was to pull it away from him.
So he didn't get to eat the pizza roll?
No.
Paul is making an extreme effort to consistently say he was instructed to do everything. He's trying to throw as much blame off himself as possible, almost to the point where he's painting himself as a robot that simply followed what Shonda told him to do. The thing is, in a second interview conducted a week after the first, Paul was a lot more transparent. He admitted that he liked the praise from Shonda, that he liked having power and control over Timothy, that he felt good while doing it, and that he did everything willingly. Lastly, he said he felt that he was as much a murderer as his mother. All of that made it incredibly difficult to believe Paul when he stated that everything was just done as per his mother's orders. At the end of the day, Paul's motives and precise involvement in Timothy's death will never be known. He did contribute to his death. In fact, he carried out and enforced the majority of punishments that caused his death, but whether he actually wanted to do any of this is a different story. The general consensus is that he was manipulated by his mother. She made him feel that what he was doing was the right thing, and it was all just to help him. That explains why Paul was parroting so many strange statements, held such hatred for his father, and started all of this. A jury would conclude that over time, it seems as though he grew to enjoy what he did and abuse his power, just as the guards did in the Stanford prison experiment. And that's the perspective a jury ended up taking. Before his sentencing, Paul was evaluated by multiple doctors and experts in different fields and was found not to have any intellectual issues nor mental disorders. Paul was of sound mind, and it was determined he had mental and physical control over everything he did. So with that in mind, it was time for his sentencing, but not before the judge was given the opportunity to finally speak his mind and tell Paul exactly how he feels about him.
Mr. Ferguson is trying to shift blame from him to his mother, to say that somehow she's the one that did this. This has been a careful, manipulated story by Mr. Ferguson from the very beginning of this thing, that he's going to put the blame on his mom. In my opinion, Paul Ferguson was predisposed to abuse his brother, independent of his mother's present and active influence in his life. I think he's one step away from becoming a psychopath like his mother, and the court is concerned that he represents a danger to the public. Mr. Ferguson, I think you are a product of your environment, but I don't believe you that you're sorry. I don't think you have empathy.
See, he'll have no choice but to confess to everything.
I don't want to talk anything specific about
Your environment, but I don't believe you that you're sorry. I don't think you have empathy. I don't think you have any emotion whatsoever, and that's what scares the court. Believe me, I've tried to sit here and try to think, well, maybe Mr. Ferguson's not.
Shonda Vander Ark was charged with first-degree murder and first-degree child abuse, and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 50 years for the child abuse charge. Her son, Paul Ferguson, was charged with first-degree child abuse, resulting in the death of his younger brother, Timothy Ferguson. This was his sentence and his reaction.
You intentionally. You served 30 years to 100 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections.
This was first-degree for abuse, and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 50 years for the and was sentenced to Vander Ark was charged with first-degree murder and first-degree child abuse, and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 50 years for the child abuse charge. Her son, Paul Ferguson, was charged with first-degree child abuse, resulting in the death of his younger brother, Timothy Ferguson. This was his sentence and his reaction.
You intentionally and systematically tortured this child. Based on all that,
I ate only red meat for 60 days, and this is what happened to my body. The night before starting the challenge, I did something I'm not proud of.
Don't judge.
This is me the next morning.
Today was very easy. I knew that this challenge wasn't going to be that bad.
Yeah, and now I started turning into an absolute animal.
Something weird is happening today. The aroma of smelling delicious to me.
And then I go on this rampage, I start killing it, I'm working out, everything's going well. Here are the results.
Here's what I looked like at the start of the challenge, and here's what I look like now.
Yeah, an absolute god. I look like a young Arnold. Testosterone is up, cholesterol didn't change, full video in my bio.
I ate only red meat for 60 days, and this is what happened to my body. The night before starting the challenge, I did something I'm not proud of. Don't judge.
This is me the next morning.
Today was very easy. I knew that this challenge wasn't going to be that bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, looking back, I severely underestimated what was to come.
Felt chest pain, but
Almost like a mild depression.
had a little bit of a panic attack before.
These are the shortest-lived inventions. So in 2010, Microsoft spent $1 billion to develop a social media-focused smartphone called the Microsoft Kin. It was on shelves for 48 days before being pulled because of public rejection. In 2011, HP launched the HP Touchpad, which was meant to rival the iPad with its own operating system, but the sales were so abysmal that they pulled the entire line after just 49 days and sold them at an 80% loss. Coca-Cola invented New Coke in 1985 to taste a bit sweeter to compete with Pepsi, but the backlash was so strong that it only lasted 79 days before tanking it. Even less than this though was Quickster, the Netflix DVD rental spin-off company, which was scrapped after just 21 days following low interest and difficult branding efforts. Nintendo's first attempt at 3D gaming was in 1995 with the Virtual Boy, but it caused headaches and eye strains, forcing them to pull it from shelves just 5 months after release. And finally, Google Plus introduced a Stories feature that lasted a total of 5 days before they pulled it off because of low interest, which was the story of just the general Google Plus experience and platform as well. Pretty cool, right? These are the shortest-lived inventions. So in 2010, Microsoft spent $1 billion to develop a social media-focused smartphone called the Microsoft Kin. It was on shelves for 48 days before being pulled because
Quickfire trivia, every question is 1,000 V-Bucks. Cypher, Fortnite trolled Ninja by adding what pickaxe?
The plunger pickaxe.
Kevin the Cube melted into what POI?
Loot Lake.
After winning the World Cup, Booga went on what talk show?
Jimmy Fallon.
Correct. The Foundation was revealed to be what actor?
The Rock.
You can turn into what character by collecting a gauntlet in Chapter 1?
Thanos.
What is my creator code?
Courage JD.
Wrong! It's now just
What?
Courage, idiot! Homer Simpson was seen throwing what in the 0-hour event?
A donut.
Correct. What is the color of Ninja's hairband on his icon skin? Yellow. Quickfire trivia, every question is 1,000 V-Bucks. Cypher, Fortnite trolled Ninja by adding what?
Who can stop the bad guy the fastest? I'm LJ and I'm 13 years old. I could have gone faster. Next up, I'm Mike the lawyer. My only goal is to beat this kid. Well, that sucks. I haven't shot an air gun since I was 12.
I'm Anthony the mall cop, and I can't be worse than Mike.
That's messed up. What'd you say?
Well, I've been proven wrong. Mall cops aren't known for shooting.
Neither are lawyers.
I'm Scar, I'm an ex-criminal, and I know what I'm doing.
Oh!
Kids don't play with guns, only water guns.
Someone's got to beat the kid.
I'm Dave, an ex-cop, and I'm not gonna let a 13-year-old beat me.
Ooh, I think he let the 13-year-old beat him.
Ain't no way.
Subscribe. Who can stop the bad guy the fastest? I'm LJ and I'm 13 years old. I could have gone faster. Next up, I'm Mike the lawyer. My only goal is to beat this kid. Well, that sucks. I haven't shot an air gun since I was 12.
I'm Anthony the mall cop, and I can't be worse than Mike.
That's messed up. What'd you say?
Well, I've been proven wrong. Mall cops aren't known for shooting.
Neither are lawyers.
I'm Scar, I'm an ex-criminal, and I know what I'm doing.
Oh!
Kids don't play with guns, only water guns.
Imagine wrestling over 1,000 matches, becoming a WWE Hall of Famer, and serving as a global ambassador for the company. Yet the moment everyone remembers is the time you slipped trying to get into the ring.
Princes and very important people, and he just...
Imagine wrestling over 1,000 matches.
Shows you how motivated. It's not fancy. O'Neal, so difficult to corral. O'Neal on a big boot. There's a size 17 for your pleasure there, Eric. And Titus O'Neal met with a knee strike. Titus still on his feet, however. Stumbling. All in the clash of the Titus. O'Neal takes out Eric. O'Neal on a big boot. A size 17 for your pleasure there, Eric.
Hey, hold on for a second. My name is Webby, and when I was 18 years old, I thought my life was over. 2 years of hard workouts and discipline led up to this moment. From 300, I remember just had this, and now like, how people can see me in public with y'all for no outcome slay back. With all that knowledge, you still can't get my kids back.
With all our tears, they don't get to see my children. People see my children, but they don't see how I be feeling. So I became the Grinch, yeah, no, I'm the villain. Brother, Merry Christmas. Brother, Merry Christmas. They don't understand the things I want for Christmas. Brother, Merry Christmas. They don't understand the things I want for Christmas. All my brothers, Charlie, brother, Merry Christmas. Brother, Merry Christmas. Brother, Merry Christmas. All my brothers, Charlie, brother, Merry Christmas. She wanna sing to Japan, I put the bow in the bands. Brother, Merry Christmas. She done for the kids, she got the drawer in her